Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we're going to be talking about Ripple and XRP, as well as the vast majority of crypto and finance. And with that being said, let's just dive in and let's start off with this article. So this is from 4 years ago. 4 years ago, guys. In 4 years, a lot has changed. In fact, in just the recent 2 days, we have seen significant change happening around the world. Yet guess what? We aren't seeing it being talked about. Within this article, it is titled Ripple XRP New World Order, a Level Playing Field, an Internet of Value. We've seen this fully broken down, like I said, 4 years ago. We've seen the change happening even then, today more than ever before. And this is written by Dominic Zoran. And we do see that the New World Order is globalization, and it will shift us to a level playing field. At the moment, we have an American-led world order with the dollar being in the middle of everything. Previous financial crashes and the Triflin's dilemma have shown that this is not feasible and cannot continue indefinitely. China, Russia, and the United Nations have all called for a supranational currency, a currency that isn't subject to the Triflin's dilemma or controlled by any one entity. The world is about to change, and the Internet of Value is going to be a big facilitator towards this change. If you are holding enough digital assets, then give yourselves a pat on the back for being open-minded enough to learn about this revolutionary new technology and invest your hard-earned money in this asset class. You have prepared yourselves for the shift we are about to see take place in current systems worldwide. To conclude, we shouldn't fear the New World Order. What we should really fear is a Chinese order, a Russian order, an American order, or any single entity being responsible for maintaining order worldwide. The world is changing for the better each and every day, and we all have the responsibility to adapt, prepare, and embrace the changes to come. And yes, listen, as we really kind of look at this, it is no secret that we are about to see some major changes happening. And I do think that the BRICS are a massive accelerator of this. I've talked about this on many different occasions. Yes, they have called for a supranational currency many times in the past, and this would be a currency that isn't led by any one entity. How can we get there though? Is it XRP? Is it this? Is it that? A lot of people have this weird thought process with this. I've talked about it many times in the past. We're not at, a stage in time where we're going to repeat the old and embrace the new, right? We're not doing that. What we are doing is we are seeing an entirely new, completely different financial system rising. And so many people are going to miss out on this. I would argue 99% of the people, even in crypto, will miss out on this because they are too focused on one thing: immediate gains. Listen. Crypto is not the space to be for quick gains. You're not going to get rich overnight here. That's not the case. What we are going to see is a fundamental change where digital assets are the underlying foundation for this new world order that is rising, an internet of value, if you will. And I do believe that Ripple and XRP are a pillar within that. A lot of people have their own thought process with that, but in my opinion, I do believe that XRP has a lot of significant value tied to it. Ripple as a company, they have been working within the space for well over a decade, connecting with major central bankers and organizations around the central bank scene. So there's just no doubt in my mind when it comes to this. But also, I did mention over on Twitter, I said not enough people are realizing the long-term effects of what BRICS is doing / becoming. Not overnight, but gradually we are seeing a tectonic shift in terms of dominance and power. Mainstream media wants you following nonsense news while they don't put a spotlight on the BRICS and the moves being made. And all the talk right now is around Trump and around this and that and, all this nonsense. Focus on the bigger picture here. They don't want you realizing the big picture, which is the fact that BRICS and a lot of the nations that are looking to join the BRICS and moving away from the US dollar are major exporters of food products, gasoline, energy products, right? Like this is exactly why when you go to the grocery store, when you go to pump your gas, everything is so damn expensive. Yet guess what? In the CPI reports from the Fed, they don't include food. They don't include utilities. They don't include energy cost. It's nonsensical costs that they include in the CPI. And this is why they're constantly telling you, hey, inflation is cooling. Let me ask all of you families out there, when you go to the grocery store and you buy your groceries, Do you think that inflation is cooling down? Let me ask you this. When was the last time that you pumped your gas? How much did it cost to fill your tank? This is the problem. They are lying to us all. They are distracting us all with nonsense. And not enough people are really kind of sitting here saying, what the hell is going on here? Look past all the nonsense. Look past all the garbage that's out there. Look at what's actually taking place. Iran and Saudi Arabia are among 6 nations set to join China and Russia in the BRICS economic bloc. And this is happening, right? The United Arab Emirates, Argentina, Egypt, and Ethiopia were also set to enter BRICS from January 1st of 2024. Joining current members Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa to make an 11-nation bloc. This is a major announcement, and this came after 2 days of talks at the summit. Imagine what else is going to come from this major meeting. And also, listen, as we look at them inviting more people, they're covering over now 1/3 of the world's population, if of course these members join. And this is an attempt to reshape the global world order. A new world order is at play here. We do see over here, BRICS to officially abandon the US dollar. This was August 24th. This was literally yesterday. And within this, we do see, according to Brazil's president, the BRICS Economic Alliance is officially set to abandon the US dollar for trade settlements. Moreover, the development aligns with recent de-dollarization efforts embraced by the bloc as they continue to promote the use of local currencies internationally. Now, the thing about this that's very interesting is that we do know that Russia was also trying to get a lot of legislation passed around utilizing digital assets for trade and trade settlements. That could very well be the case. They could still utilize XRP. Listen, a lot of people think that you can't use XRP or you can't use this token, that token, but what's really stopping them from utilizing any of these tokens for trade, especially trade settlement? Nothing. Listen, Ripple outside of XRP, Ripple has no tie to XRP. Like, they don't, besides what they own in escrow, XRP is not Ripple. Ripple is not XRP. They're two completely different things. So XRP is fully decentralized. They could utilize XRP all day long, and nobody's going to be able to stop them. And we do see down here the BRICS officially moving away from the US dollar for trade. The highly anticipated BRICS summit arrived this week with the entire world watching, specifically the geopolitical sector, sought to see what could come from the gathering. A focus had been placed on both local currency development and potential expansion. Now, after expansion has already been announced, the BRICS is set to officially abandon the US dollar for trade settlements. And like I said, with Saudi Arabia joining BRICS, this is essentially the nail in the coffin. It is going to be very, very interesting to see what happens next. Listen, at this point, you can't even question it. The dominance that the BRICS are gaining is substantial. The power that they have behind them now is substantial. This is something big. And talking a little bit about this, we do see over here from Megan, established BRICS countries, cheap trading, BRICS currency, or agreement using own currency. Check this out.
On the developed world. Another important thing to consider here, Gareth, is that the conversation around a BRICS currency would gain further momentum and perhaps more strength in the wanting to establish one. And what it would do, Gareth, is that establishing a BRICS country is essential for cheaper trade between nations. At the moment, there is a huge reliance on the dollar, and of course, developing nations cannot afford many goods and services in terms of importing them because of the dollar and the cost at which things are purchased. So a BRICS currency or an agreement to trade in our own currencies with different nations that would be part of the BRICS Plus community would certainly reduce the price of not only doing business, but the price that consumers have to pay for different products. Hence,
and again, this would ultimately bring about a level playing field. We've been talking about this level playing field for a very long time. We are seeing the rise of new currencies. We are seeing the rise of a completely different financial system. Listen, everything is very, very focused on cheaper payments, cheaper settlement, cheaper everything, but also faster settlement, faster payments. How can you achieve this? New age technology is upon us. Embracing DLT blockchain, it's here, it's happening. And listen, XRP doesn't have to be the only one in town. It doesn't have to be the only player. This market and everything around the global economy, it can embrace multiple currencies, multiple assets, multiple technologies that have their own solutions tied to them. Everything that is happening is becoming much larger at scale, centered out on the evolution of finance, payment technology, you name it. At this time, I don't think that everyone should be focused on price so much. I have been heavily focused on negative price action, actually. Where could we come down to in price? Where can I accumulate more XRP? I'm not looking at anywhere to sell XRP because guess what? I'm going to be selling it into the US dollar. Okay? We know that the US dollar in terms of inflation is getting absolutely murdered in value. Why would I want to sell any of these tokens into US dollars right now? I'm not ready to do so. We're not even close to the price action that I would love to see in order to sell. XRP is not even at values that I'm thinking of selling at. I'm not anticipating to get rich overnight here. I know too many people focus on price when they should actually be reading what's happening here. We know China wants a new world order, right? This is an alternative world order. Beijing is using its economic muscle to rally developing countries and reduce the West's influence over the UN. This was August 22nd. Since then, we have seen major updates. In just the last 48 hours have changed a lot, right? And a new world order is rising, and it's really going to be focused on decentralization, getting away from the US and the US dollar, because the US has absolutely murdered a lot of these other economies. And as we do look at China exports more to developing world than to US, EU, and Japan. Like, look at the dominance here. This is the percentage of total Chinese exports. We could see that the exports to Belt and Road Initiative countries, it's rising drastically. And exports to the US, EU, and Japan, well, they're dropping drastically as well. And we do see China will always be a member of the family of developing countries. We will continue to do our utmost in raising the representation and voice of developing nations in the global governance system. And we do see the list of international institutions in which Beijing hopes to magnify its influence, and by extension, that of the developing world, is getting longer. It includes the UN, the World Trade Organization, the G20, and others. And all of these, right, by the way, are all extremely focused on digitization, tokenization, utilizing DLT and blockchain. Blockchain and DLT is at the forefront of this. We are seeing major developments happening. We are seeing dominance and power changing. We are seeing a global initiative now. I want you guys to understand that this should 100% be a focus point for everyone out there. And it's not me trying to tell you guys hey, this is huge because it's huge. No, this is big. This is a fundamental change. This is a change in the way everything will work. And also over here, China pushing for BRICS as counter to G7. Listen, this is from Megan over on Twitter. I told you guys to go check out Megan. Listen close to this minute and 47-second long clip.
Dale, good to see you and welcome to We on Wild is One. There is speculation that China is pushing for a BRICS grouping to take, on the West or even G7. What do you make of that statement? And is there any truth to that?
So it's a great question, Eric. Great to be back on with you again. There is some that are suggesting that Xi Jinping is not trying to outcompete America in the existing liberal international order that is dominated by the U.S., but that he wants to change it into a more Sino-centric one. Of course, I don't think anyone who's seeing this necessarily agrees. I think it absolutely is a competition. And I believe that you yourself pointing out that India has also raised concerns. The fact that BRICS, which was established founded in 2009, right, already with Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa alone accounts for more than 40% of the global population. And with Saudi Arabia applying, of course, you have Iran, Algeria, Egypt, Argentina, Indonesia, UAE, as you mentioned, all also applying for membership, that this is only set to expand. And I believe that the reason why this is actually, in fact, a way to compete with the U.S. is because America currently, unfortunately, is in a position of rather weakness on a global scale, reputationally, image-wise, optics, and frankly, economically. So China has seen an opportunity here to lead the path along with Russia to come in and to take a an approach through BRICS that may actually swing the pendulum, so to speak, more in the direction of that region and their leadership, as opposed to a U.S. dominated, Western dominated alliance.
Adele, let me ask you this.
And again, there you have the term fully spoken out to, a new world order. They're pushing for the expansion of BRICS. They are getting the expansion of BRICS. They are getting more power and dominance over the global system. And two of the biggest things to look at as well is gold reserves. So BRICS are now 3 of the top members in gold reserves. This is from Ingrid over on Twitter. US is still number 1 with 8,130 tons of gold. The problem with this, right, is that we first know that the US government lost 7 Fort Knox gold audit reports. This is in history. This was from 2015, by the way. And also, there was a post. This post, I want to say, is from, this is like from 2019, I'm pretty sure. So this is auditing America's gold reserves. Now, the interesting thing about this is that, one, the US has a history of being secret around, gold reserves and Fort Knox. Their secrecy around this is concerning the fact that this has really kind of put a damper on the idea of like, how can we trust the gold reserves that are actually there? How can we trust how much gold the US has? Because we even see down here, like, lack of transparency hobbles public confidence in security of America's gold reserves. And it's so easy for a lot of these countries to say, hey, we have this much gold, yet there's no audit being done. And another nation that's kind of similar to this is China, actually. China, we don't know how much gold China actually has. They say 2,068 tons, but we have really no idea because they haven't done a full-on audit. We don't really see it. The same with the US, right? Like, we have to take the US's word for this. And, when can we ever trust our actual government? They were lying to us about how banks are stable, how the banks have the money that, is being deposited, this, that, and all. But we all know from reports that that is not the case, right? Like, they have lied to us several times. So to me personally, like, this is concerning because, again, we don't know how much gold the US has, but we do know that the BRICS are expanding rapidly around this and, becoming very large players around gold reserves. But then also, 6 members of the BRICS are in the top 9 largest oil producing countries in the world. US is still number 1 with 20%, but Saudi Arabia, 17%, Russia, 10%, China, 4.5%, UAE, 3.5%, Brazil, 3%, Iran, 3%. BRICS now represents 41% of the total oil production worldwide. So if we actually look at this, like, this is a problem. Because they have a lot of dominance, they have a lot of power, and they are leaders around oil and electricity. I mean, as we really kind of look at the utility side of things and the oil side of things, remember in yesterday's video, I talked to you guys about how it's all about oil. Well, guess what? They're the dominant force around oil. And if you control the oil, you pretty much control everything. This is power. This is all power. Everyone needs to be focusing on BRICS. Right? Like, BRICS is now becoming a force to be reckoned with. And this is all to reshape the entire world of finance. Like, this has all been a financial war because of what we have done with the US dollar and what we have done with the US dominated systems, like, for example, SWIFT. All of these nations are pushing back heavy, but now they are also coming together and they're all attacking the US dollar and the US status. Now, like I said, this is not going to happen overnight, but gradually we are seeing a tectonic shift in terms of dominance and power. The BRICS are gaining heavily. And remember, like, they've always said that they don't want the US dollar to be the reserve currency anymore. And I do question what really is going to happen when the US dollar does lose its reserve currency status. It's questionable, right? Big things are coming. And I want you guys to understand that, outside of all the nonsensical news about Trump and this and that, whatever, you should all be focusing heavily on the digital asset space, the 4th industrial revolution, what's happening around finance, what currencies these nations are using, what currencies these nations have mentioned. They have been mentioning digital assets. They've been mentioning blockchain, DLT. Look at the organizations that are tied to this, like the World Trade Organization, which have mentioned XDC, for an example. Trade Phoenix, Trade Tech, they are all within documentations. So as we do look at this, a change is happening. A change is coming. and you should all be prepared. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on if you guys have more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. With that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Peace out.